right, so today I'm going to be doing the fuel injector replacement on the RS4. I got one of them from FCP Euro, and then the other 7 I got remanufactured from Oaks Performance Solutions out of Virginia. They only had 7 in stock. They take OEM injectors, reseal them, flow test them, and refurbish them, which is amazing because brand new, these are about $250 each. Multiply that times 8, it's pretty expensive, so this is a super good deal. I'll leave a link to their website in the description down below. While I am doing the fuel injectors, I'm also going to be replacing the valley gasket and the oil filter pedestal gaskets because I have some pretty substantial oil leaks from those 2 places. So I will be taking the entire fuel rails and the fuel lines out. If you're just doing injectors and not replacing the valley gasket, you don't have to remove it the way that I'm going to be removing it, and I will tell you how you can just remove the rails and not the line. Anyways, let me get started. All right, I'm going to be replacing the gasket that goes from the oil filter to down here. To be honest, my brain just went blank and I absolutely forgot what it's called. I'm getting over being sick and my brain is just, I don't know, we're having problems. But anyways, it's a T30. There's one right here, and then there's one right there. And there's also a hex screw up here. I'm not sure which it is. I will see. It's a 6. This is the one that I'm removing now. Like I said, it is a hex head 6. I have found a broken vacuum line. That's fun. I wonder how long that's been broken. There's also another one. Venturi valve out of the way, right here by my thumb. And just like that, this comes out. I did drain about a quart of oil, but obviously you need to drain a little bit more than that. So it's off, it mounts. There's, like I said, there's 2 here. I have a broken vacuum line. There's 2 of the hex head 6s back here, 1 here. I have a broken vacuum line. That's lovely. I've got to fix that. Anyways. So it mounts there, and then these 2 down here, and that's the gasket that I'm going to be replacing. I'm going to clean up all of this oil real quick. It kind of got everywhere. Like I said, I drained a quart. You probably should drain a little more than a quart. I've got the new gasket right here. I don't know if that's gonna focus or not, probably not, but I got this from ECS. Let me use a pick and get this one out. Don't know how easy or difficult it's gonna be, but it's definitely time to replace it. So here's the old gasket. I'm gonna clean up down in here while I have the gasket off. I'm going to use one of these Q-tips with some brake parts cleaner. Might need a smaller Q-tip actually. I'm gonna use my suction tool and get that out. All right, that's good and cleaned up. So I'm gonna put the new gasket in. All right, it goes like this. All right, so in order to get to the valley gasket, this fuel line has to come out. So there's a T30 here, a T30 here, 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 and here. I've already removed this one and these 2. So next will be this one. And then I will go ahead and loosen up this one. disconnect this electrical connector here. All right, and this just pulls up out of there, and then I can get to this bolt easier. All right, there's that one. Now there should be some give in this line. Not much, huh? I'll also have to undo this electrical connection. There we go. And it comes out to the side, and they're pretty stuck in place, that's for sure. All right. Used a little bit of leverage with the pick, and it came out just fine. So now that's out of the way. 4 T30s on each side, and then there's one way back here. All right, there are also some up here. Okay, I pulled with this and I got it kind of loose, and now it just pops up, and it is on there tight, and gas will come out. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm not prying hard at all. I'm just loosening it up. It's not enough to dent or hurt anything. Okay, that side down there is pretty loose. This side down here likes a little bit connected. I'm gonna get this side. I will say generally you would just disconnect these fuel lines, which is a 14 and a 17, and you can do that and get the fuel rail off. But I'm also replacing the over the valley gasket, so I'm just taking this whole assembly off together because it is easier at the moment. Okay, I forgot to mention you do have to remove this T30 right here. Okay, the fuel rail is coming out. Fuel rail, lines, everything. All right, here it is. I'm gonna set it to the side. And like I said, I'm taking all of that out because I am going to replace the valley gasket while I have this apart. It's just easier, and I have the part anyways. But if you are not replacing the valley gasket, you just disconnect the high pressure lines from here, 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 and here. They are 14s and 17s. That will leave the lines down here but allow you to remove the rails. All right, now I am here with the injectors. And to be candid, I'm not really sure how you go about getting the connector, the wiring off of this last injector, which I do believe is 8. I don't know. Okay, it was a tight fit, but I did get that wire connection loose. All right, I'm going to do some cleanup real quick. As you can maybe see, it is quite dirty around the injectors. So I'm going to clean up around the injectors before I take them out. That way no gunk and grime gets down in the injection port. All right, so to get to the valley gasket, this line has to come off. It is a T30. All right, that's disconnected. I'm gonna see if I can just leave this on. We'll see, I may have to take this off. So next there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 T30s that have to come off. I'm gonna break them all loose and then get them out. Here is the valley gasket. I didn't disconnect it from the PCB, but if you want to, it's this wiring, this hose clamp right here. Here's the gasket. It may come off easy. Well, yeah, it did. So there we go. I'm going to clean this up. I'm also going to clean up this dirt and oil. I just want to make sure that it seals correctly. I've got it all cleaned up and looking nice. If you are a forward thinker, unlike myself, when this is opened, if you're replacing this, you would replace the oil check and sprayer valves. I totally didn't consider that, so I'll do that on next carbon cleaning, but might as well do it when you're opening it once. It's just something that I did not think of at the time. Okay, I've got the gasket here, and it can only go on one way, which would be like this. All right, I've cleaned up the cover. It's nice and new looking. I'm going to pre-start a couple of these through here. That way, whenever I put the gasket on, it lines up, because the gasket, it got kind of warped, which that may not be a great thing, but all right, I've got the gasket on the bottom side of this. I'm going to roughly set this in place where it goes. Just gonna hand start them every so often to keep the gasket in place. I'll have to use a socket for this one back here. All right, the gasket is officially in place. It's not gonna go anywhere. So I'll finish putting those bolts in. All right, the factory service manual does not state a torquing order, but it does say to torque these to 14 Newton meters. I'm gonna get them hand tight, and then I will torque them down. I double checked again. It does not say torque pattern. It just says to reassemble in the reverse of disassembly, basically. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll start right here. Oops, I forgot something. I made a whoopsie. Not a big whoopsie, but I forgot this bracket, which goes like this. All right, moving on. All right, this goes back in place here. It was this smaller T30. This one does not go to 14 Newton meters. It's just a little overhand tight. That's as tight as it goes. All right, valley gasket is replaced. Okay, I'm gonna try and start with this one back here, because whenever I done the spark plugs, when I took out the spark plug and the coil pack, they both smelled terribly of gas. And I'm pretty sure this one is stuck open a little bit. And I'm going to try not to damage these spacers, because I only have like one extra. Okay, it's a little bit loosened. The factory service manual says to stick a screwdriver through here, poke it up, but I don't know about that. I don't think I have a screwdriver the right length to really use that. Yeah. All right, we'll start up here. It's coming out. Oh, okay, well, that one wasn't too bad. Super dirty. I'm gonna have to clean out the port. I don't know if you can see, there's a bunch of gritty grime down in here that I'm going to use some Q-tips and clean out before I put the new injector in. All right, it wasn't recording, but I used a little bit of brake parts cleaner, and this is the amount of grime that I got out of the port for injector number 1. There's still a lot of gritty grime down in there, so I'm going to get a wire and loosen it up and then I will keep using Q-tips to get it out. I'll show you the first one. Just the injectors have never been replaced. Actually, I'll probably loosen this up and then use my vacuum to get it out so it doesn't fall down the port. This one is a little bit softer and works a little bit better, so I'm gonna use it. Although it's kind of spent because I used it on the intake port. This will be its last hurrah. All right, going back in with some brake parts cleaner. And in the service manual, it actually does say to use a wire brush to clean this out. It says not to damage the port area. Q-tips are actually working rather well. All right, that one's all cleaned up. All right, here's one of the refurbished injectors. Like I said, I've got 7 of those. They have new seals on them. The only thing that I have to reuse is this. Well, is this part. So this come off the old injectors. It goes on like this, and then this clips around. Well, this actually goes on first. This top part goes on like this. This bottom piece comes up the sides and snaps on like so. Yeah, like this. And then you seat it back down. Use a screwdriver, gently press the radial adjustment arms, these little flaps that come up the side of the spacer. You push them out of the way. It's kind of hard to do with a huge screwdriver, but all right. And now I should be able to lift it out with this spacer. These are the radial arms that I was talking about. They just come off like so, and then this slides up. Injector is out. There's a ton of buildup on this one. Lots of grime and whatnot. I'm going to clean this port. All right, moving on to injector 3. Same thing. Radial support arms to the side. There it is. That one's super gunky. I don't know. You can't really see that, but super gunky. All right, I'll take this spacer and this little radial device off. Would not recommend doing this if you're not certain that your injector is not damaged. It's moving slowly but surely. My goodness, here it is. The buildup on here is unreal. Of course, it doesn't show it that well on the GoPro, but definitely a similar condition to the coil packs, or the coil pack and the spark plug that I took out. Now I'll get this off. There's definitely more buildup and gunk in this one. I'll show you. I haven't showed you the past ones, but I've been cleaning them as I'm going. There is the port for that fuel injector. It does not do it justice how gunky and built up it is in there. All right, I've got all of those over there removed and all the ports cleaned. I taped it off so nothing can fall down in there because that would be tragic. I'm gonna work on removing these here. This one's being a little bit of a pain, so this one's coming out pretty easily. Not bad. So this would be 6, I do believe. Not bad. Hopefully this one back here, hopefully this one is not a pain to get out because there's not very much room. Oh my goodness at the buildup in there. That's crazy. This one's out. This one is a little bit more stubborn than those two. But it is coming out, so almost there. There we go. Now we're back to this one. Whew. All right. This one's leaking. All right, well, that is what it is. Good thing I'm replacing them. So that one's out. This one is especially grimy. I think this would be 7. This is the fuel rail. that goes on passenger side. It goes like this. I'm going to put the injectors in now. I have used some clean oil, like motor oil, and put it on the O-rings. That way it slides in better. Goes like this, so this will go down here. Same thing here. And I've reinstalled the spacer and the adjustment back to all the new injectors. Last one. And it is super cold in here. And this fuel rail is also very cold. Here's the rail. I'm gonna put it in place like so. All the injectors are lined up. I'm gonna put those bolts back in because I don't think that I can get this pushed in by hand. No, I cannot. Fuel rail's in place. All the fuel injectors are in place. I'm gonna start putting these bolts back in. I'm gonna start back here. All right, I've got the driver's side fuel rail. Gonna be the exact same thing. It goes in like this. That one was a little bit difficult. And here's the new one from FCP. I know that 4 was acting up, so I'm putting the brand new one on 4. Need some oil. All right, all of them are in the rail, ready to go. Put all these spacers and radial adjustments back on. I luckily didn't break any of them, which is great because I did not have an extra like I thought I did. So I'm going to be doing like I said, the exact same thing, putting these in. I'll go ahead and attach my fuel line loosely. All right, all those are attached loosely. I'm going to start putting these bolts back in. All right, all the injectors are back in. I'm gonna finish connecting all these fuel lines. Okay, I have got the injectors in place. I've got the fuel rail or the fuel lines back in place and bolted down. I put these connectors back in place and put those back together, and I put this vacuum line here, or the air line, whatever. I put it here back where it goes. I actually had this backwards, so I flipped it around. And I have learned that these lines are super brittle. I broke the one that goes from the secondary air injection to the manifold. I broke it in 3 places. I'll show you that in this video, but yeah, so be gentle, very gentle. Okay, so to tighten this down, torque it to spec, it's 9 Newton meters. The sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'll be the same on this side. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the sequence to tighten them down. I'm pretty sure that I've gotten them pretty tight already. You don't want to snap them, but do this side. I haven't double checked this side, so there may be a little bit more tightening to do over here. Okay, all of those are tightened down. The fuel line to rail is 25 Newton meters. You can't really gauge that with a wrench, but you know, a little bit past hand tight is good. I got the sensor line hooked back up. All right, this gasket goes to the back of the oil filter pedestal, which goes right there and placed like that. All right, so here's this that I took off before. I cleaned it up a little bit because it was pretty gunky. It'll set on here like this. All right, so there's two T30s that go here in the front. I'm just gonna put them in loosely to hold it in place until I get all 4 bolts in. Yes, it was hex 6. It goes, woo, almost dropped it. It goes back here. And the other one is going to be hard to see, but it's directly back here. All right, the two T30s up front are 9 Newton meters. The 2 hex in the back are 22 Newton meters. Those are all back in place. Next, I'll hook up the wiring harness, and it's pretty easy to figure out actually. Oh boy, I kind of forgot that this injector is a bit of a pain. All right, I got injector 8, I do believe, reconnected off camera because it was a little bit janky. Okay, I need this one to click. Come on, click. Oh, is it on there? I guess it is, I don't know. No, it was not. Okay, cool. Why aren't you gonna click? I didn't know. Tab isn't broken. Maybe it's just really gunked up. All right, I sprayed it off with some electronics cleaner because that could have been the problem. I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna proceed in just hooking up this other stuff. So this goes to the pressure sensor. This one goes to the vacuum line. Let that dry out a little bit more. That's the vacuum line, you couldn't see it. Anyways, moving on. And this goes right here. It is keyed, so it only goes one way. All right, this one's dried out. I'm gonna try to hook it back up and get it to snap. Golly. It's just not snap. Oh, that's why. The little snappy piece that's on the injector itself is broken off. What I'll do is I'll zip tie it. All right, I put a little red zip tie that hugs the connector part of the injector around the wiring harness connector, so it's not going anywhere, it's not gonna slip out or anything. That's just a little extra insurance for me that it doesn't slip off and I have to take the manifold off again, which would be a nightmare. So that's my solution. All right, here are the injectors that I took out of the car. This would be front and back of driver's side. And this would be front to back of passenger side. This one is a little worse off than the rest of them, that's for sure.